We watched the world end from a window seat. At 35,000 feet, the earth below unraveled in silence. Cities flickering out like dying stars, skies bruised with the smoke of 1,000 fires. Inside the cabin, time stretched thin, the usual hum of engines now a dirge. Passengers sat suspended between disbelief and dread, their faces illuminated by screens that no longer connected to anything. We were adrift above a planet that had ceased to answer, each orbit a silent vigil over the fading heartbeat of civilization. I have been flying long-haul routes for 7 years. You start to see patterns. First, the passengers complain about turbulence. Then comes the drowsiness. Soon the cabin slips into a hush, like a cathedral at midnight. I used to cherish that quiet middle stretch. Darkness settling in, engines humming, 100 breaths sinking like a lullaby. But now it feels like a mausoleum with tray tables. We were 5 hours into the Heathrow-Chicago leg when the shift happened. Everything had been flawless. Smooth skies, full meal service, not a single rowdy bachelor party. I was in the galley boiling water when the captain summoned us to the crew jump seat area. Something in his voice iced my spine. He said we'd been ordered into a holding pattern. No details given. Chicago Center cited a high-security emergency and instructed all inbound transatlantic flights to circle until further notice. We all knew the term, holding pattern. Usually it's nothing serious. A crowded runway, weather delays, maybe a VIP landing. But we weren't even over Illinois. We were still out over the Atlantic. The captain's hands trembled as he spoke. That chilled me more than anything else. 30 minutes later, the ACARS chirped again. Data bursts, fragmented, erratic, military jargon, scrambled airport codes, LHR, contact lost, JFK, impact confirmed, CDG, multiple. We asked him what impact meant. He didn't answer. We already knew. I remember the exact second we stopped pretending, huddled in the rear galley, whispering like guilty children. Beth, one of the senior crew, used to run NATO liaison flights. She said if cities were falling off the grid like this, we weren't going home. Not tonight. Not ever. There was no order to declare an emergency. No word from ground control. No diversions. No sanctuary. Just one final transmission. Hold as long as possible. Await further. That was 10 hours ago. We're still circling. Passengers remain in the dark. Officially, at least. The seatback maps still show us gliding gentle loops over the Atlantic. I shut them off after a woman began to sob. She said we'd flown past the same cloud formation 3 times. She wasn't wrong. We're stuck in a loop. Not for safety. Not for storms. We're just suspended. Like a paper plane caught in purgatory. A man in 27 degrees tried to FaceTime his wife an hour ago. The call connected, but all he heard was sirens and distant screams. He just sat there, staring at the screen, like blinking might erase it. Eventually, he vomited into his lap. Hasn't spoken since. We abandoned the in-flight entertainment after BBC World News flickered for a brief terrible second. Just enough for the anchor to mutter something about London, multiple strikes, Parliament, gone. Then static. Then an emergency alert. Outside, the sky is bleeding. We can't see the cities, not directly, but we can see the heavens recoil from their deaths. Dirty orange blossoms pulse on the distant horizon, as if the clouds themselves are bruising. Each flare smears more soot across the stratosphere. The turbulence is gentle but strange, more like the sky is trembling under a weight it can't bear. Ash skims along the jet stream at 30,000 feet, painting the windows with streaks that look like ghostly fingerprints. Sometimes there's a flash, far away, never blinding, but close enough to rattle in your teeth. A silent flare across the Earth's curve. Another capital gone. It's like watching a planet die from a waiting room seat. Jay, one of the junior crew, broke down in the lavatory, screamed himself hoarse behind a locked door. When we finally pried it open, he asked again and again what country we were flying over, pale, eyes wild. "Just tell me there's still a country," he whispered. I couldn't bring myself to lie. Now it's the fuel. That's the unspoken terror. We're not military, just a commercial 777 with regular tanks and standard reserves. Teehee captain's been stretching it, throttling back, drifting through thinner air. But that's just delaying the inevitable. We've been airborne almost 16 hours. The numbers don't add up anymore. And here's the cruelest irony. We don't know where to land. Every major hub has gone silent. The few places still transmitting are rejecting contact. Iceland ignored our relay. So did Dublin, Shannon, Madrid. It's as if the world died while we were in the air, and no one remembered to tell us. A boy, 6, maybe 7, asked me when we'd be landing. He had chocolate smudged on his cheek and a toy airplane in his hands. I smiled and said, "Soon." He beamed. "I hope it's sunny," he said. I excused myself to the crew storage and cried until my throat burned, bit down hard to muffle it. Beth thinks we're the luckiest people alive. "We're 35,000 feet above a mass grave," she said. "If that's not safety, what is?" But even she looks hollow now. She caught the captain gazing at a printout of Europe. 3 red X's scrawled across it. No labels, just marks. That's when she took off her watch, stopped checking the time. Now the silence is unnatural. Not the calm of a red-eye flight, but a suffocating quiet. No chatter on the radio, no ATC calls, no contrails in the sky. Nothing. A man stood up and said he hadn't seen a single aircraft cross our path in hours. That's not possible. Not over the Atlantic. Not even during a pandemic. There should be dozens. But it's just us. A metal ghost adrift above a broken world, kept aloft by outdated routes and the fading hope that someone's still listening. Some of the crew want to tell the passengers the truth. Others say that would be a death sentence. That panic would finish what the bombs didn't. I don't know where I land. Maybe they deserve to know. Or maybe that little boy with the chocolate face deserves 10 more minutes of believing in blue skies. Maybe mercy looks like that. Then the intercom crackled. It wasn't the captain. It was a woman's voice. Calm. American accent, like she worked customer support. She said, "Flight 389, you are currently designated Condition Echo. Maintain altitude. Do not attempt contact. All international emergency protocols are suspended." Then silence. Beth thinks Condition Echo means exposure, not radiation, awareness, that we've seen too much, witnessed it all from above. The survivors below can bury it or burn with it, but we're proof it happened. Maybe that's why no one will answer. The captain called a crew meeting, not over the PA, just behind the curtain. His eyes were red, his voice low. He said we had maybe an hour of fuel left, that he'd sent out a mayday. No one responded. Even military frequencies were quiet. "There's an emergency water landing protocol," he said, "but it's not ideal. I think that's pilot code for we won't make it." And then he said what no one else dared. "I think we're the last people alive." No one spoke for a long time. Half an hour ago, he changed course. Didn't say where to. Just banked the plane gently and descended a little. Over the intercom, he told the passengers we'd be landing shortly. He didn't say where. The whispers began. Phones that wouldn't connect. Maps that wouldn't update. Then someone stood up, demanded answers. When none came, something broke. A woman screamed at the emergency exit like it led to heaven. A man sobbed into the seat in front of him when his call failed. The air turned heavy, like the fear itself was devouring the oxygen. Kids cried. Men fought. Someone asked if the lights meant landing or crashing. No one listened to us anymore. Seatbelt signs blinked above passengers who no longer stayed seated. It wasn't panic. It was surrender. A slow, tragic unraveling. Some joined hands. Others prayed. The man in 27C sang quietly under his breath. I stood in the galley, watching the sky, waiting for anything. A flare, a port, a strip of land. But there was only water. We're still descending. Low now. Too low. The engines are a whisper. The sea looks smooth. Shiny. I don't think there's a runway waiting. If you find this phone, if you find me, we were Flight 389, London to Chicago. Departure time, 0406 UTC. The crew did everything we could. We kept them calm, fed the children, passed out warm towels, kept the coffee going. We lied, but only because it was the last kindness left. Hope was the final thing we had to offer. We're descending now. Lights flicker, still no land. But maybe the ocean will cradle us. Maybe that's mercy too.